Hey everybody,
Yay.
I am Haley Gray and I am the founder of the Women's Entrepreneur Network, and I'm excited to be here with one of our amazing All Access Pass members, Jennifer Jayne, and she's got some really cool bleeding edge stuff that she is working on. Welcome, Jennifer. So happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. You know, so AI right now is the biggest buzzword out there.
Yep. It's the hot ticket in the entrepreneurial space for sure. And there's a lot of, love it or hate it. There's not really a middle ground with AI right now, which is, as new things come to be, it's kind of exciting. But I tend to be, surprisingly, I usually run away from new tech. Anything time someone's like, "Ooh, this new thing," I'm like, "Yeah, not for me." But somehow the AI stuff has really worked for me, and I've leaned into it, and I'm constantly learning and developing new ideas and exploring new pieces of technology and playing with other people's platforms because I find it really fun. Because there's so many amazing people creating brilliant ideas around marketing, and bringing AI into the part of the solution. And so that's what I've ended up doing with my business partner and co-founder of Enchanted Prosperity, is really leaning into using AI and automations to make bringing lead generation into your business 1,000% easier. Like maybe even more than just 1,000%.
Right. No, and the thing for most businesses is lead generation. The holy grail
Yeah.
of everything for most businesses is, human lead generation and doing it better, doing it faster. And I mean, frankly, hiring humans to do lead generation is, shall we say, error prone?
Yeah. Well, and it also stops feeling so much like you. If you're hiring someone to do it as you, maybe, but if you're hiring someone to do it for you, probably not. It doesn't feel as authentic. And what we've really tapped into, and everyone says you're supposed to niche down, right? So as we've gone through this process, we've been narrowing down who like we really love to work with. And both my partner and I have chronic illness diagnosis, and we've been struggling in this like feast or famine cycle for most of our entrepreneurial journey because it matches our health journey, right? Like there would be like the health gets worse, the marketing goes down. And that's really frustrating because you come back from being, in a low season as far as your energy goes, or your health goes, and you need to make some money to pay for the hospital bills and the doctor's bills. But you have to go through like a couple of months of reminding people you exist because you disappeared for a while. And so Enchanted Prosperity was really born out of this idea of like, how do we get out of that feast or famine cycle and actually use the technology that exists to get more consistent and stay consistent? And so we figured out like this whole strategy around using AI to create a high quality of high quantity content that keeps you visible even when you need to step away from your business for weeks at a time. And we've practiced what we've preached in this because we've both, since we launched in October, have had to step away for more than a week at a time, being sick individually. Fortunately, it's never happened at the same time. But we've both had to be like, hey, look, I'm out for a couple days. Like, this is just the reality. But because we have our automations and workflows and AI tech working in the background to help support what we're doing, nobody has noticed that there's been a lull in our business. And we're doing the same thing for our clients as well.
Yeah. And I mean, when you own a digital marketing agency, as I do, or we are actually doing done for you services, just as you are,
Yeah.
We use tools. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I heard that if you use a tool, you might get less visibility. And I'm like, honestly, consistency wins out every day of the week. And this is just another tool. And learning how to leverage these tools and use these tools is a game changer.
Yeah. Especially if you're delivering quality consistently, right? Like, and it doesn't, I'm not saying when we talk about quality that it's like, 100%. every single time. But if you're delivering 80%, 100% of the time, as opposed to 100% once a day, right? Like once a day, we talked about this briefly the other day. Posting once a day on each platform is not enough. It's not even remotely enough. But for some people, that's all they can manage, and for some people, that's more than they can manage. Depending on your energy reserves and where your focus is and what you feel your skill set is. I actually just got my hair cut today. It was fresh due, and was chatting with my stylist, and she's like, yeah, she's like, I have a hard time like even just posting every day. I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm not calling you out, but from what you're describing to me is you are overthinking your content, first of all. So just hit publish, like just send it out there. Because if it doesn't resonate, no one's gonna see it anyways. Like, what's the worst that can happen, right? I'm like, but at the same time, like if you don't hit publish, then you're doing yourself a disservice. So at least get over that hump, and then we can have a conversation about how do you get consistent and how do you actually start publishing a quantity that will make a difference and allow you to be visible in the markets you need to be in. Because if you aren't showing up and actually putting your name out there, it's highly unlikely anyone else is going to for you.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that, you know, certain platforms like LinkedIn don't love you posting multiple times a day.
Right.
But X, TikTok, YouTube even, Facebook, Instagram, it's actually ideal to post multiple times a day. And when I sit there and I teach my viral social media class and people are like, well, how often should I be posting? And I'm like, ideally, no less than once a day anywhere. And it could be up to 10 to 12 times a day. And you see the eyes turn to saucers and it's like, how am I ever going to do that? Well, that's why you hire somebody who knows what they're doing, or you learn how to use the tools, or both.
Yeah. And we're launching a program in June called AIM, and it's AI Marketing Mastery. And that's what we're doing, is we're teaching you how to use the tools, the AI tools and the strategy so that you can do a high quality, high quantity. In our business, we call it HQ2. We got cute with it. I'm probably going to make t-shirts that say like HQ2. But when you put the quality and the quantity together, you have a much better shot at getting in front of the people you need and filling up your lead pipeline. Which is what we're going to be talking about in the event we're doing in June. And it's going to be friends themed, which like we love a good theme. So it's the event's name is Pivot to Passive. And we're going to be playing off of that iconic scene with Ross and Rachel and Chandler, where they're trying to get that couch up the stairs. I might be yelling pivot in a Ross voice a lot during this event. But the point is to really like give people the foundation they need to be able to start building a better system to create passive leads in their business. Because if you are having to actually activate every single potential lead in your pipeline, you are going to burn out, and you're going to burn out in a hurry.
Yeah. 1,000%.
And that's not sustainable. Not sustainable.
Well, and that's, you know, having to do 12 people on your team doing it. I mean, if you look at the labor and the human cost and all of that, and that's even with automations and everything built in.
Yeah. We love teaching about the AI tools that we use. We have a social scheduling tool that we show loud and proud about. It's called One Up. It's not ours. We white label through them. But they have push notifications, right? So like one of the things that we talk about in marketing is like, you should be using your personal Facebook to talk about your business. Like you absolutely should. But there's no scheduling tools that are available for that right now. Like you can't schedule to Facebook. But what our platform does, it allows us to send you a push notification with everything you need to go push your post on Facebook yourself. So you still have to manually do that like one last step, but like it automatically copies and pastes and saves your image for you. So that you're not having to sit there and think about like, oh, what am I supposed to post on Facebook now? Like brain fart, right? Or you get in that moment and you absolutely freeze. You're like, I have nothing interesting to say. Here's my dog. That only takes you so far. You actually have to talk about your business, and you actually have to talk about what you're selling, or nobody's going to know.
Right. No, absolutely. And, you know, here's the other thing too, is that if you're not talking about what it is that you're selling, you're actually doing your potential clients a disservice.
100%.
Because they can't find you if you're not telling people what it is that you do.
Yeah, and how to work with you, right? Like, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs who are trying to do everything on their own is they talk a lot about how they make people feel or how they felt in their own discovery of their gifts and their talents. But they don't say, here's how to work with me, here's how to pay me, here's where to sign up nearly often enough. Yeah. And those clear, direct calls to action are vital in your marketing and your visibility.
Absolutely. And that is so, so, so important. I feel like, so often we don't, any of us, even those of us that are in marketing, don't give people enough calls to action. We're not out there selling enough. We're not out there doing enough. And this is a critical component to doing that.
Yeah, it really is. And, we roughly, so we do done for you services where we do marketing and all of the lead generation and tech support behind the scenes. But then we also teach in AIM how to do it for yourself. And inside of this, we aim for about 30 pieces of content across your platforms on an average day. If you're launching something, then we're going to push for 50 pieces of content, which is a number that doesn't just cause saucer eyes. It like blows the top off of people's brains. But inside of those, 30 or 50 pieces of content, about 50% of them actually need to be a call to action. Now, not every single post needs to be a sales post. Like, it doesn't need to be a call to action to join your program or buy your low ticket offer or sign up for your email. But there should be a direct action that people can take to engage or interact with you. That is still a call to action. Whether it's pointing people to your Facebook group or to follow you on a different platform or to, come watch a live or connect with you on a podcast, you need to be telling people where to get more access to you. And then on that point is where hey, by the way, I have this freebie, or I have this low ticket offer, or I have this high ticket thing that I'm launching that you should really be a part of. Because the more you get them pulled into your world and the more you're engaging them and the more they're clicking through to follow you and get a deeper taste of who you are, the more likely they are to be a hot lead. And hot leads is what we really want. We don't just want, we'll take whatever leads we can get these days, but the hot leads are really where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes consistency to have a ready supply of those ready to buy hot leads.
Yeah. And the more comfortable you get with those AI tools, the easier it is to be consistent. The biggest thing whenever we talk about, like, we use ChatGPT to create probably a good 80% of the content that we teach how to do that. And then also what we're creating for our own clients. And having that AI tool primed and understand who you are and really understand the nuances of your business is really key. And it's a step that most people don't go deep enough into. Now, the beautiful thing is OpenAI and ChatGPT are always updating and adding new information and adding new resources. They just launched last week GPT-40, which is like an even faster model base and has better memory. And if you have a paid membership to OpenAI, you have memory across your GPT, so you can actually reference your different conversations if you want to. But the deeper you take that and have a conversation and treat it like it's your assistant who really, really, really needs to understand your business, the better the results are going to be and the more impact that content's going to have. Also, you get to create it a lot faster. The not so secret hack that we talk about in our classes is we actually get our clients and our students to use a transcription service and actually answer questions audibly, out loud, and talk as if it's like a conversation they're having with a client or a prospective client, and answer a series of questions about their business. Because what that does is it actually gives the GPT your actual words and the pace and cadence in which you say them. And then you upload that to your GPT and give it a series of prompts. And you'll actually find you get way better content and results from that because it's using your own words. I was having an AI conversation with someone the other day, and they're like, oh, that's a really authentic simulation of who you are. I'm like, yes. She's like, but it's still a simulation. I'm like, but is it though? Because you would do the same thing if you had a conversation with a copywriter. And you would say that that isn't a simulation of who you are. But I would say, if you're going to call ChatGPT a simulation, then I would say a copywriter writing your words for you is also a simulation of who you are. The difference is the tool and the cost and sometimes the effectiveness. But having that GPT primed or whatever AI tool you're using, because I know there's more than just the OpenAI ChatGPT, but whatever tool you're using, making sure it understands who you are and your nuances and your tone and your conversational style. I have to remind my GPT every once in a while that I'm sassy and witty and a little bit snarky. And that means my content actually sounds like me, because I'm not, by the book and informational and instructional. I'm a little bit cussy. I'm a little bit crazy. And that needs to show up in how things are written for me as well. So understanding what your tone is and really getting into the nitty-gritty of the details of your business and how you want to be represented means that the quality of the content you're going to get out of the tools is hugely and vastly different.
Absolutely. And this is something I do a lot with client work, with generating thousands of graphics a month for my clients, and, blog articles and books, and working on things and editing them and tearing them apart and putting them back together again is really training the GPT to sound like the way I want it to sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me tell you, it is a lot easier to edit something than it is to pull it straight from your brain and try to turn it into words. So if you are still, a little bit nervous about using those AI tools, just try it and then edit it. That's honestly where I started 4 years ago. I was using Jasper. At the time it was called Jarvis. Then they got in trouble with Disney because it was AI and Jarvis and they couldn't do that. So they had to rebrand to Jasper. But that was what I did. I was working as a blog editor for a female entrepreneur association and pumping out 50 pieces of blog articles, plus managing submitted articles for them. And the only way to do that effectively and not lose my brain was to really lean on those AI tools. And I discovered it became way easier for me to edit and then add to things, right? Than it was to try to pull an idea out of scratch from nothingness. So if you're curious about trying tools and you're still a little nervous about it, not feeling authentic or feeling like who you are or sounding like you, the best thing you can do is play with it. It's a big playground. It's a big AI virtual playground. And the more comfortable you get with trying out the different slides and testing out the new swings and climbing on the new climby gym or whatever you want to call it, the more effective you can make those tools. So start and edit the hell out of it if that's what you need to do. Don't be afraid to tweak and test it. Because honestly, that's where the magic starts to happen, is when you put a little bit more of you into what the content is.
Absolutely. How does somebody sign up for your workshop?
So we have a link. It's Pivot to Passive, and I believe it's somewhere on the description here. And it's a free event, so you can, somewhere pointing in all the directions. It's a free event. You just have to sign up and register so we can put you into the Facebook group, and it will be happening June 4, 5, and 6. Times of day, I think it's going to be around noon or 1 o'clock Eastern. Still have to nail that down to see what works. So I'm in Eastern and my business partners in Mountain, and then our assistants in Pacific. So it gets a little confusing with the multiple time zones, but we usually do afternoons in Eastern. So that should work just fine.
Perfect. Love it.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for being a guest today. And I hope we can do this again soon. Y'all sign up for the workshops and they're going to be amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Take care.